Hello and welcome to the open platform of Public TV of Armenia. Today I will discuss the hostilities and war crimes by Azerbaijan in Nagorno-Karabakh conflict in 2020, problems of prisoners of war, and perception of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict in Israel with Alexander Lapshin, who is a journalist, traveler and blogger from Israel. Mr. Lapshin, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, David.
First of all, I would like to ask you to tell about the case which you brought in European Court of Human Rights against Azerbaijan. What stage we are?
You know, your question is just in time. Today in the morning, I received a notification from the European Court of Human Rights that decision will be held on 20th of May, so the next 20 days. So I hope for the best, and I feel this lawsuit against Azerbaijan on March 2018. And they accuse Azerbaijani government in illegal imprisonment and attempt of murder within the Azerbaijani jail. And so they protested a lot, actually. So they insist that I tried to commit suicide within the cell, in the jail, but we provided with the medical expertises and from Israel, from Holland and Moscow, from Russian expertise. So we proved that actually I was attacked in Azerbaijani jail and beaten brutally and spent 4 days in an intensive care unit, and then I was released back to Israel.
Mm-hmm. So you were kept in prison in Azerbaijan because you visited before the imprisoning Nagorno-Karabakh, and then they decided to put you in jail. How is it to be a prisoner in Azerbaijan? Are the laws and human rights violated there?
Of course. I spent there 7 months in Azerbaijani jail and plus 2 months in Belarus before the extradition to Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijani jail, it's more like a kind of Nazi concentration camp because of inhuman conditions and bad treatment from the authorities, from the head of the jail. And actually, based on my experience, I spent 7 months within a small cell, a solitary cell. I was alone, 3 meters on 3 meters, and a small hole, it's like toilet, without television, without anything. And from the beginning, they prevented any meetings with the outside world. For example, they didn't allow to my lawyer to come to me. So I was provided with the government lawyer who actually was against me instead of support me. And I couldn't call home in the first 2 months. So I was told that no one cared about me. I will die in the prison. I must recognize Nagorno-Karabakh as a part of Azerbaijan. And this is kind of black humor because I'm not Armenian, not Azerbaijani. So they asked me to recognize Karabakh. And actually I refused. And later, again, support from Russian and Israeli embassies.
Okay, so now President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, insists that his country released all the prisoners of war to Armenia, and there is no prisoners of war in Azerbaijan. But in reality, there are more than 200 people held there. What do you think, what does Aliyev want to achieve in this?
I think Aliyev uses the issue of the prisoners as a tool to put pressure on Nikol Pashinyan's government, because he can release small groups of the prisoners or not release. And then if he gets what he wants from Armenia, for example, territorial benefits in Sunik, for example, he can release more people or not to release. And in case that Nikol Pashinyan will not allow his orders, so public opinion in Armenia will be kind of against Nikol.
We learned that Azerbaijan used some weapons imported from Israel, like Lara missiles and drones. How is the perception of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict in Israel, and taking into consideration that these weapons were used against civilians?
I think, at least for now, Israeli public opinion is more concerned on coronavirus, on COVID, and new relations with the new administration in Washington, Biden, than on Nagorno-Karabakh issues. So actually, unfortunately, no one cares in Israel about what's happening now in Nagorno-Karabakh. And one more point, Actually, Armenian embassy in Tel Aviv was opened just 2 days before the war has begun in September, and it was closed 2 days later as a protest against Israeli supplies of the weapons to Azerbaijan. So for half a year, no one supports the Armenian point of view, no one lobby Armenian interest, and so this way we will come to dead end. So I think Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Armenia must bring back the ambassador and to work in a field of improving of the relations.
After the war, you started to help families who suffered the war and found refuge in Armenia. Please elaborate some more details about it. What was the initiative about?
This is the initiative of me, of my friends, and what we try to do is support somehow families of refugees and injured soldiers and the people who lost their relatives in the war. So we just spread it food sets for the people and symbolic amounts of cash, and actually that's it. So within past 2-3 months, we visited like 300-400, between 300 and 400 families, and somehow tried to help them.
So in total, about 400 families were assisted?
More or less, yeah.
This is a big deal. And coming back to the Israeli public opinion, and this time on Armenian genocide recognition by the US President Joe Biden. So what is the possibility that Israeli government also recognizes the Armenian genocide after Joe Biden did?
I think while Iran remained its biggest enemy of Israel, and Israel in a need of Azerbaijani territory for, monitoring and intelligence, or probably next war against Iran, so our chances to recognize the genocide of Armenians is very low, because this way they will damage their relations with Aliyev regime.
Alexander, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
This is Open Platform of Armenian Public Television, and my guest was journalist and traveler and blogger from Israel, Alexander Lapshin, who was jailed once in Azerbaijan for just traveling to Nagorno-Karabakh. And we also touched the topic about his case in European Court of Human Rights and hostilities and war crimes by Azerbaijan in Nagorno-Karabakh conflict in 2020. Thank you for watching us.